It's the On Stage podcast with Chris Robert. Today we have a special guest. His name is Brett Fitzpatrick, and we'll have to talk to him about that. It's got music for sad people, and whenever I say that, I'm thinking of the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz. He was quite a sad person. Now, they're an indie alternative band from Houston, Texas. I love Houston. I know people from there. And the mission is to help lower the suicide rate among adults. The band released a debut album in April of 2022 and has since followed it up with a deluxe album, multiple shows, interviews, and most recently, the first music video. So the band consists of Brett Fitzpatrick, lead writer, lead vocals, and Alex Angel Smith, synth graphic design, directing. And we will actually go from there and let him talk about himself because I can read his bio all day. We don't have any use for him. So, hello, Brett. Welcome to the On Stage podcast. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Okay, can you give us, I know I say this to every guest, but can you give us just a little bit of a backstory of who you are and what brought you into this music for sad people?
Well, I guess a little bit about me is I wanted to make music that made a difference. As much as I would love to be just a rock star that is all about fame, and I know music has an impact on people, and music what helped save me when I got a little bit down on my luck. So I wanted to somehow try to repay a debt, and my music career, a bunch of different failed bands that I started or joined, but it didn't have a purpose or a drive. So when I kind of stumbled upon what I was making, because I've been writing an album for so long, and when I finally realized what it was that I was writing and what I was getting out, because all the songs are about me and things I've lived through. So once I realized what it was about, it kind of took on its own life and kind of just became its own thing, and it's got me to here. So yeah.
So this music is to help lower the suicide rate among young adults. I know that's a true thing. I know that I've experienced a couple of suicides from friends and stuff, but can you give us a little bit more of how did you find your band members, and do each of you have sort of like a similar experience of why this music's for? Why do you, are you actually saying that sad people would be attributed to suicide?
Well, so I'm in a kind of the emo scene, and like if you notice the name, we have slashes in between each word. That's to represent people who have, taken their life and who currently self-harm, who don't feel like they can get help. I don't necessarily make music for only sad people. Like, the album does have a lot of dance tunes and headbanging songs and things like that, but it's more or less gravitated to the people that, hey, you're not alone. Like, that's kind of the premise I'm trying to I guess like showcase is you're not alone here. Like, here's songs about me, making fun of myself, and that's what it is. All these songs are about me, breakups, my flaws, and when I was down on my luck, and when I saw no light at the end of the tunnel, and like there's a lot of bands, like one for instance like MCR, they are known to basically be a light for a lot of different people, and they weren't even trying. They were trying to save themselves without trying to save anybody else. And I think my goal is, the lyrics that I write have really resonated with people, and we've had people DM us with my lyrics tattooed on them. So, when I made music for some people, I got made fun of a lot for my lyrics and how I write and what I'm about. And, people constantly, picked on me saying I make music for sad people. And I decided to make that about me. I decided to wear, myself on my sleeve with calling myself music for sad people. And as far as like the other bandmates go, there's really technically like two members in the band. We have a lot of session musicians that come aboard who either help us write or help us record, or when we're doing shows, we have them on board for that night, which eventually will evolve to music for sad people always having an evolving sound, which is something that I'm already kind of gearing towards. Like we have a couple EPs on the way and working on another album as well. and we don't want to basically copy and paste what we have done already. If you're in music, you got to always want to grow and evolve your sound and not just stay in one niche group.
So when you found your teammate, I believe her name was Angel Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know her for a long time? Did you go searching for a band member to help you out with this, or was it just suddenly that you two got together?
We sort of just got together. I knew her for a little bit, but didn't really start talking to her until like years later after just knowing of the person. And ended up, I had a demo of one of my songs that I wasn't going to release. She encouraged me to, push it out. And it wasn't the version of the song I wanted to do, which, we now have corrected on the album, which is really awesome for me. But they pretty much showed me that there is like a market for my music. And it was music for sad people before they joined aboard. I knew basically music for sad people was established in 2019, and then COVID happened, and then 2021 is when I finally released my first single, and then this year is when I finally got the whole album out.
So tell us about that first single and the reason as to the non-colored videos, like the black and white videos. I guess black and white gives you more of a, like, what kind of overtones are you trying to?
Well, I associate sound with color a lot, and there's a lot. I guess like this is the era of music for sad people, is the black and white era, where like our logo is going to change. It's not going to always stay that scratchy font. It's eventually going to change and evolve, and that's something with our fashion sense, the color, the sound, quality of the music as well. That's something that is always going to be changing and evolving. And I feel like black and white was, I don't know, I feel like a lot of bands do it, but I wanted to do it differently. So I mean, I'm a fan of music. I'm not just like somebody who's just naturally gifted or anything. I was a fan before I got really immersed to wanting to be my own thing. So, I'm looking at all these other bands I grew up watching. I'm like, okay, I could do this better. I can do this better if I had the chance. And that's kind of how it all kind of correlated. Was we were messing around with the music video, and black and white's been our whole aesthetic for this year and a half that it's been going on. So eventually we'll probably release a version of it in color, maybe years down if we run out of content or like it's no longer a thing, but we still want to get that ad revenue. So
Do you mind me asking, it says that music saved your life. Can you give us, is this a genre? Is this a band? Is this a musician? Can you give us a little story on that?
I would consider music for sad people a band. The people that I have around me when we're making something, that's something that's forever like stamped in time. I'm not on the guitar, I'm not on the bass, I'm on the drums. It's still like a band effort. And the reason why it is mostly just me is because this is like my baby, my project. And I am open to having people kind of more permanent members, and because I mean there's plenty of like bands that are just one person that have other players around them, so I'm okay with that. But I guess like my genre, I guess it's alt rock for now. I'm experimenting with like heavier rock, close to metal. I'm not trying to say I am metal. I don't want to offend those fans out there, but and then I love jazz. I love different types of pop, and eventually I want to dabble when I get further along in my music career and my different eras per se, experimenting with those sounds. And because again, I feel like I don't want to oversaturate my market. Like this first album we did is a first album, like that. It's its own thing, and I don't ever want to retouch it. I don't want to try to mix something. I don't even want to have a sequel to a song, So that's something that I've kind of like made these rules for myself from the very beginning.
So that first single, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
How did you put that together? What was the creative process? What inspired you?
Well, the song "Big Loud," which we have the original version of it up still. That was about a bad relationship where both sides were in the wrong. She's yelling, I'm yelling, You know, it's not matter who's right or wrong, it's whoever's loudest, which, you know, kind of became an inside joke. Big loud, like, you're being big loud, be small quiet. And so after getting out of that relationship, I don't like writing typical breakup songs. I like writing. I like to be more mature about it, per se, in quotations. I so I didn't want to write another like "I miss you" or "I hate you" song. I want to make it's like, okay, here's my flaws too in this, and here's why I want to be better. And making it, I knew I didn't want to have just a regular guitar solo. Saxophone was kind of something I wanted from the very beginning. Messed around with the different types of synths. We had this awesome synth player from California work on it, and when we put it all together, it sounded a little bit too jazzy. I wanted it to be more. I want to add a little bit more rock, a little bit more guitar riffs, and we couldn't really nail it. And I decided to post it anyway after being, heavily forced to put it out there. And as we had other singles follow, we were working on the new version of Big Loud, which is the album version, which is now like our #1 stream song on all platforms, which, I'm happy about because that took the most time to make. But the process of that was just, I had certain ideas I wanted to implement, and eventually after hard work, nailed it.
Yeah, it's really good, and totally inspired by it. So you and Alex, I guess, wrote it together, and then you put the whole thing together, and then you start playing it. And were there times when you and her weren't really getting along because she had one way that she wanted the song and you had another? How did you make it work so this works?
I mean, we're like, I guess like with any band, you're gonna have differences in where you think a project should go. And it was a matter of I guess it's just like communication is the biggest thing. Basically, it's about not just saying no to an idea, but hearing it out. And if it's better than the idea you had, run with it. Don't try to be stubborn. And I ended up winning that time because the riff that I had, and then we got to the guitar player who could play it, a hell of a lot better than we can. He ended up nailing it, and then we just it just matched the flow a little bit. And then we got in touch with our drummer, who's now starting to become more of a serious member of Music for Sad People. He's very talented jazz musician entirely. So it's like I have a rock influence and he has a jazz, and we kind of mix it and to kind of give it our own little unique twist. And we ended up, knocking it out. I think that was the last song we actually finished recording on the record.
Yeah. When I first read that part about the the suicide rate among the adults, I remember that gentleman by the name of Kevin Hines, who I think he was in a bit of depression. He does a TED Talk on this, and he tried to commit suicide. So he jumped off the San Francisco Bridge. And he said that as soon as he got like about a foot or two off the ledge, he knew that he changed his mind, but he said it was too late. And he said that as soon as he ended up in the water, he landed on a sea lion, which happened to have been out swimming. And there are no sea lions in the ocean there. And so it saved his life. So yeah, music and everything has caused him to have a new way of life. So you think people listening to your music kind of saves them as well? Kind of puts them...
I guess like, I'm not trying to like, sound like I have a God complex or anything, but the idea is if you're feeling down, you're feeling sad or something, or if you need like to know someone else has gone through something, the goal is you listen to the song and you come out of it lifting your head just a little bit higher. And that's pretty much the goal. Like, there's been plenty of people who have reached out after shows saying they didn't know what we were about, who we are, what to expect, and they're lifelong fans. Again, like I mentioned earlier, people, getting my words tattooed on them, which was kind of like, it's kind of cool because like I want to get tattooed someone else's lyrics, and now like I get to experience that feeling. And I mean, I'm incredibly grateful and honored. And I've even had sit down conversations with people after the show who wanted just to talk, who drove like, we've had people drive 3 hours to see us. And, I don't understand how some artists can like not take the time to thank them, or like take a picture. Like some of them want to, which I don't get. You know, it's like they bought your album, they bought the ticket, and now they're coming to see you. They want to talk to you. You can spend 5 minutes. And again, I never thought it would reach this certain level. And every fan I get, I never like kind of process how it's gonna go, or like, oh yeah, I'm music for sad people, right? Like to me, it's just like I'm talking to somebody who just enjoyed a track I made. So, like it's an awesome feeling.
Yeah. What is your favorite and least favorite part about being a musician?
I would say, I guess my favorite part is the fan interaction. Without them, I wouldn't really be, I guess, a musician per se. It'd be more just a hobby. I would say my least favorite part is, I guess, it's the musicians who, I don't want to say like flaky, but it's like type of musicians that kind of make being a musician like a bad thing. Like the SoundCloud rappers who only put 1 or 2 tracks out and never heard of again, that kind of flood the market. And because we do everything ourselves here. So when we're trying to, book interviews or book magazines or book a show or something, it does take a lot of back and forth to try to like verify it's us. Just due to that reason. And we've talked to a lot of different, people in the music industry that say like, yeah, like we got to make sure like when we set a time and a date, you're going to be there because we don't want to advertise. We've been stuck up sometimes. There's a lot of people that say no because we don't have, 10,000 monthly listeners quite yet, and so we still kind of battle we're still too new. And like things like, like you allowing me on your show kind of legitimize us a little bit, but it is a lot of hard work trying to not be the stereotypical musician. So I would say that, like, yeah, you get what I mean, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if your band would play covers, are there specific genres and specific bands and specific musicians, their music that you would play to keep that sad sort of music?
Well, I mean, our music really isn't just all just sad. Like it's personal experiences that we that I've gone through. So like Big Loud is a very happy tune. The Drive is a very headbanging tune. Fete is a dance party tune. So it's like we don't just all play like really slow, sad music per se. But it's kind of weird. Like I'm a huge My Chemical Romance fan, so I'd want to play some of their stuff, and I would play some of their heavier stuff. I'm sure Angel would want some early Panic at the Disco songs on there.
My favorite band.
Really?
Brendan Urie, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
Don't Turn the Light Out is a really good tune.
I was about to ask you, what'd you think of their latest album?
I love that song. Don't Turn the Light Out, I think it's called. I love it.
Yeah, that is an awesome
Great stuff. Brendan Urie is actually Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. And again, like now he kind of has full control over what he wants to do with the band. And, of course, like my favorite album of theirs is the third one, Vices Adventures. But, again, he is the band. He can control what happens, and like if one of his bandmates is getting caught in controversy that's, that could, destroy the band, he can eliminate the issue and can continue on without being scathed. And that's something that's something like when I was starting is I was looking for a band instead of making the music. And now I'm making music and I have people that are like, okay, yeah, I like this tune. I can play it. I can see myself playing this live on stage. And that's been like kind of my like go-to now.
Do you think your band would ever like add members? So it's just the two of you for now, but do you think your band would ever add members so you become like a full band with 6-7 members, or you just want to stay with you and her?
I would love to have more members. Again, because like Angel, she's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, like the logo, photo shoots, telling us how to pose, editing, directing the music videos, all of that. She's a mastermind of that. But like right now, like I was saying, like our drummer, he's becoming more of a I should say a permanent member at the moment. And again, like, not trying to, fingers crossed, stuff like that, but I would love to have more members to share the same like idea of what I want. And again, it's like, I do take myself pretty seriously as a musician. I don't really, I don't post memes on the band page. I don't take silly pictures on the band page. We try to present this, I guess, aura, this lore to the music in the band, which is what we try to nail with the music video, to kind of like, hey, like, this is what, this is the vibe that we're going for. This is who we are, and we're looking for, people who will share that same idea, or more or less listen and pitch in their ideas when they think they have something better, which I'm always up for. Like, I can't create a guitar solo. I can't tell them how to play a solo. So like, that's where I leave it up to my guitar player. Or if we have a drum solo like on Self-Titled, I have to leave that up to my drummer and just do as many takes as we can until we feel like we nailed it. So it is something I would like to do in the future, but if it doesn't happen, I'm not stopping Music for Sad People to wait for that.
I like that. Yeah, it's like you said, you don't want to be fooling around and taking photos if you're enjoying yourself, because suicide is a really serious thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that it's your mission to help lower the suicide rate among young adults. How would you know that your band accomplished that?
We receive messages, people saying that they've gotten their life together since our album, and we've that, which is awesome. We even I actually became really close friends with one who did an album review for us, and they're like, they listened to the lyrics and they felt like I captured one of their summers, and that was something that was like really like heartwarming, and I actually cried reading that review. And I reach out to them, and I'm like, hey, thank you for the nice review. I hope you're doing better. And that's kind of the thing. We get people, reaching out who maybe never, because we have a song coming out on November 11th, which is about, losing a family member. And that's, can be very hard. And so we've had people reach out that I sent that early demo to, who, again, like, will play it on repeat and say it's helping them. And again, it's like, the goal is to eventually get big enough where I won't be able to talk to everyone, even though I'm still going to try. Like, I'm still going to try to read every DM comment that I possibly can, but it doesn't seem like I don't want to know their stories. That's kind of the thing. I want to always be, I guess, approachable.
Yeah, that's when you know you've accomplished something, when people start letting you know your music has really helped me. Like, you want to hear that. You don't want all this to be for naught, right?
Yeah.
That's great to hear that. So do you have a who would be the ideal musician that you like to collaborate with on this? Panic? No, just kidding.
No, I mean, they're phenomenal. I'm scared Brendan Urie might outshine me on the track, though. I would probably say, if I would want to have anyone collab with, I mean, that's something I really haven't thought of. I'd probably say the band Delaney. They're a small band that formed in Oklahoma, moved to LA, got pretty popular, and I feel like we have very like complementary styles of writing. He writes kind of similar how I write. He just makes it more pop. I make it more, I guess, alt rock. So I think that could be a nice little contrast in style writing, because you wouldn't want it to sound good. So I think they would be the ones I want to collab with the most.
Wow. So that's interesting. Yeah, if I were to collaborate with someone, to be like Josh Groban, or maybe Dan Reynolds of Imagine Dragons, another favorite of my band.
Yeah, he's got a powerful voice. Really powerful.
Definitely. Oh yeah. And talk about your mission to help lower the suicide rate among the adults. He wrote a song called Wrecked, which is about how he lost his sister-in-law, and the whole song is about that.
Mm-hmm.
So there must be some experiences in those songs, especially Big Loud. And also want to let our audience know, what's the name of the next song?
The next song that I'm releasing is called Your Mom Will Carry On. It's about how I drove my mom to the hospital and I never saw her again after that.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of like it kind of talks about, it's like a personal confession. When it comes out, you're going to be able to hear the hospital room. You're going to hear, the clarity. She passed away from COVID, and got put on a ventilator. So a week turned into two turned into a month turned into 3, and eventually just lost. And that's something I put into the track was I put my heart and soul into every track.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't like something, then they don't like an aspect of me, and that's how it is. But that's the next one that's coming out. November 11th is the release date.
November 11th, everyone, and hopefully when we release this episode, that'll be linked in the bottom, next to your Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music for Big Loud, and all the other links to your music and socials as well. Music for Sad People is a band, as we mentioned, that helps lower the suicide rate among adults, but it's also good music to listen to. Listen to Big Loud. You'll probably feel the same sort of emotion that Brett here had felt when he wrote it with Alex Angel Smith, and but that's really, really special that you would come up with a band name like that. It's really special. I would like to know, but how would you deal with, now you're going back to people don't like our music, people don't like us, whatever. So when you're performing and you know that people are bored in the audience, or you just don't have their attention, how would you deal with that to get them to say, "Oh, this guy's serious with music. Let's listen"?
We really haven't had that at our shows. We have a pretty rowdy fan base, like travel with us each show. So so I really don't really notice it too much. It's like they're like my hype men out there. But I guess the first show was probably my most like nerve-wracking, because it's the first. People don't know what we're about. But basically, our show, we had a barricade from blocking them from entering our portion of the stage, and basically I had stopped, we finished I think it was the second or third song on our set. I told them to move the barricade and have them swarm around our stage, and they went from the crowd just observing to them being a part of the show. And since then, we've now have really diehard fans that just come to every show. They're rowdy. They'll chant. If we walk off trying, it's like every band does a walk off, and they won this chant encore. We always say Big Loud for our last song, so people will start chanting if they know where the door is on the side, because we don't play in big arenas, so we play in little dives, Scout Bar that's down here. Fix and play Arcadia, so it's a side room. They will be banging on the door, and we try to make it like a whole thing. But they absolutely love music. But yeah, that first show, releasing the floodgates, they came on, people were jumping off the stage and stuff, which, hey, you're here for a good time. I'm not gonna stop it. So
Yeah, I like that. So do you have any advice for do you have any best piece of advice another musician ever gave you that you're following and dealing with in your music today?
yeah, I have I have a lot of advice. I guess what I would say is your friends aren't your fans. So don't necessarily make something that your best bud's gonna love, or your aunt or your uncle or your dad or whatever. Don't make what you think they're gonna like. Make what you like. Make something you'll be a fan of, because if you're a fan of a particular band, you like their sound, you're gonna gravitate to be drawn to that sound, right? Like Greta Van Fleet, a very popular rock band right now, loves Led Zeppelin. We're a Led Zeppelin cover band. They're gonna sound like them. So again, you're not trying to gear towards your friends and family when you make a song. Your goal is to make music you like, that you enjoy, because if you like it and enjoy it, someone else will, and then you just keep going from there.
Yeah. Have both of you ever you just go out there and you say, I don't feel like playing I've done so much. I've worked hard. What are we doing here? Or do you just say, hey, we're going to play tonight. Let's go. And you just play. Do you ever feel inside that you just don't want to do it that night?
We have yet to have that feeling. And that's kind of the thing, is we're trying to never have that feeling, which is why, our sound is always going to be evolving and growing. Because again, I don't want to be up there, the goal is to be up there for 10, 15 years from now, still playing the same songs, but how can I make it different? How can I make it fun? Because after a certain point, those people have probably seen you 10, 15 times each. You got to make it entertaining for them. And if you're a musician, you're getting paid to play songs. There's people who will spend thousands of dollars on equipment and gear just to do it as a hobby. And if you're up there and you're getting paid to do it, there's worse jobs out there to do. And again, I guess for me, because I'm the singer, I'm the narcissist of the group, I'm the front man. So when they're singing my own words back at me, I guess it's like an energy boost. It doesn't matter like what I've done that day or how long I've been out, or I'm here in Houston, so the sun kicks your ass every day. So it really doesn't matter how I feel. It's people have worked their job, got enough money to come see me play, and if I don't do it, if I cancel a show, if I do something like that, then who am I? Who am I to deny them what they want to do with their hard-earned money? So again, I'm an entertainer. That's my job. And they want to come see me. If anything, I should be thanking them. And that's what it's about. It's about the fans. It's about people, and it's about people coming together.
I like that. How would you deal with controversy? Like, what if one of your songs, people come up to you say, this song has caused me, or this song, or somebody comes up and say, this song is vaguely familiar, one that I wrote so many years ago. And you think that they all want to sue because you stole their, sort of the whole copyright music thing. Have you ever had that issue?
No, have not had that issue. We do get flack for, like, people say we sound a lot like the 1975 or like Nine Inch Nails, or we've even gotten compared against Rage Against the Machines, which I don't see, but that's on one of the reviews that people gave us. But, like, it's weird. Some fan bases are really like, oh my God. Like, there's a band called the Gins, and everyone gives them so much love because they sound like Nirvana. They look like Nirvana, right? But then you have like really toxic fan groups like, you can't do nothing that these guys have done. So it's like, my band in 1975, so of course I'm going to sound like them a little bit. But again, I've never heard anything. I talk a lot and fondly about them, and I always tell people like, yeah, this is one of the references I was using when I wrote this song, and I've always been straight up honest. But it's always about making your song unique. My songs are always different formatted, different melody, different lyrically, and again, I just have a fullness to my sound. So the bands that I get compared to have a very fullness in their sound, because again, a lot of modern rock today is very flat, very in sounding at certain parts, unless that's intentional, but sometimes it's not. I just try to strive for a good quality sound.
Well, that's perfect, because there was an instant where Kelly Clarkson's song Already Gone and Beyonce's song Halo sound so much alike. And when Beyonce released Halo, Kelly Clarkson wasn't allowed to release Already Gone because they sound alike. So I like, there's Levitating, for instance, by Dua Lipa.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a repeat of, like, there's 2 or 3 other musicians who have the same sort of melody, and
Yeah.
It's like, what's this whole copyright thing? Okay, I took that riff from you. I mean, like Mary J. Blige from No Drama has that part of Young and the Restless, and a lot of tunes. You do 7 seconds. You're allowed 7 seconds.
Yeah, and that's
Oh.
the thing. Like, music, takes from music, and every chord's been played, every melody's been sung, every riff has been played. So like, eventually you're gonna. Me personally, 100%, I do not believe there's anything that's new anymore. There's something new to you. There's a new sound or new way it's been done, and that's why I strive for. I try to do things that have already been done, but in my twist, which makes it unique, which makes it new per se. But I mean, like modern music, I forget her name. Olivia something got sued by Paramore for one of her songs, "Good for You." Apparently, it had a certain same melody, so she had to put Hayley Williams from Paramore as a songwriter on that track because they sounded similar. I'm just like, okay, that's like, if anything, that's more or less a compliment that, hey, it sounds like it. You inspired a new generation of musicians. I mean, I think they're like 20 years apart in age, so it's like there should be some type of like, hey, I did that. That's cool. But I mean, again, like, you know, don't straight up like, there's bands out, there's like a lot of Korean bands out there that will copy US bands and England bands, straight up copy, carbon copy, plug chord for chord.
And their song makes more money than the American version.
Yes. It's like I don't
BTS.
really. Yeah, yes. But yeah, that's that's one of the things is again, I don't believe there's any original music anymore. Like, like Metallica, they sue like anybody and everybody if it sounds anything like, but it's like, y'all are just nothing but power chords and dual toms. All right. Like, you can't sue somebody for also having that in their sound. But again, I haven't had anyone come to me, and I'm getting pretty immersed in the music scene. I've been talking to a lot of different people, so they haven't said nothing. Of course, I always come across a toxic fan online that behind their keyboard being all mad and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, I can't believe you're copying my favorite artist. But then I'm like, well, your favorite artist follows me, so I can't. I mean, I don't know why you're mad. They're not mad. You should be mad, So that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, okay, whatever. Like they're just mad. They're just mad to be mad. So
I like that. You ever heard of Madeline Bailey? What she does is she took all the rude comments and she wrote a song.
Oh, I do have a song that kind of talks about, like, because again, I work with a lot of session musicians, so I take a lot of their comments and things like that, and I've made them into a song and stuff like that, and it's gonna be coming out on an EP that's coming out next year. So trust me, I definitely do for people that work close with me.
So would you consider yourself a multi-instrumentalist, or do you only play a couple of instruments? What are the instruments that you currently play?
I want to say guitar, but I'm only rhythm at best. I am really great at writing down I can write my demos out. I mean, you got to think, you have a MIDI board, you can make anything, So I'm pretty all right at the keys. And I would say I'm very patient as well. So if I can't get something, I will splice it together. But on stage, I'm mostly, dancing around, singing, picking up the occasional rhythm guitar. But yeah, that's pretty much just two instruments, really.
What if you and Angel, whoever in your band, are playing a performance and the machinery doesn't work, or the electronics break down, or how people are singing in a microphone and the microphone breaks down and you just hear is that they were like the echo, and like, how would you deal with that?
We actually had that happen on our first show. We had our LED board not work properly to sync with our sound. Our lights weren't working right. The microphone we had kept cutting in and out. You just got to power through it. That's, I mean, like Panic at the Disco, to mention, they constantly have the PA get cut fire all the time. So you just keep playing and keep singing. And, if you stop and you make it awkward, it's going to sound awkward and it's going to look real bad. So the idea is just keep going, keep swinging. And, you let your sound guy figure it out. That's what they're there to do. And
yeah.
If they don't figure it out, then there's a problem. But, eventually it's just an easy fix. And that's when, as a lead, you stall in between songs until you get that thumbs up way back there. It's like, hey, am I good to start the next song? So it's all about, because I like to talk in between my songs and sets, talk to the fans, or someone front row is going crazy. I want to, acknowledge them. They're going crazy for that reason. Give them with that. And that gives my team plenty of time to either switch out guitars, change the strings, which we've had to do a couple times. My drummer can actually take a breather because he's about, like, I think 120 soaking wet. So he's gassed in the back, so I'm giving him a chance to breathe, and I'm letting my LED guy figure out everything he needs to get done.
Yeah. What do you think of that? Would you consider that, like, if you did that where you were playing Big Loud and you just said, we're not going to play that. We're going to play something else. Have you ever done that? Or do you just go, okay, we're going to play the song? Do you have a certain roster, like a list of what you play one after another?
Yeah, we have a set list. It's always like kind of changing and plugging in because we're still making like our album's only 10 songs long, and one of them's an outro, which doesn't really count. No, that's the walk-off song, right? So we have a lot of demos that we kind of fluctuate between. We're now at a chance where we can see the fan interaction, like, hey, we're gonna play a new song, or hey, here's a demo we're working on, you want to hear it? We do like Big Loud and The Drive are our two biggest songs, so we end our set on that. Fete is another big one, so we end before the encore. That's the song we end on. And then Self-Titled's the walk on, and No One Can Change is the song we play after that. So we have like key like points where it's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4, but then we got to figure out between the rest and rest. So sometimes we have yet to go against what we agreed upon. Like, we have a group chat, we do rehearsals, we do sound checks, we print out the list of songs we're going to play, we tape it to our gear, and we try to stick to it. But we are, again, not to say never is never, but it may happen. It may happen this Sunday. We're about to do a show, so the guitar may not be ready or something. The guy's still tuning it. We can't stall, so we might just play something different. So but we normally try to go in with the set game plan.
So your performance on Sunday will be like 10 songs, or how many songs do you think?
Our set's normally anywhere from 15 to 17.
Okay.
This next year we're working on a lot of different EPs to kind of close like that. Because again, like, you can only listen to one album so many times before you get a little bit tired of it. So we're working on 5 EPs to come out next year and to build up more of a fan base as well before we dive into the second album. But we normally try to keep each set long, 17 songs. This next set we're about to do is only going to be around 8 songs, just because it's a multi-band night. So we're only playing like all of our our biggest songs and the big bop songs everyone dances to, and hopefully try to get some new fans from that as well.
I like that. You guys have a drop the mic moment?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a drop the mic moment in your performances?
Yeah. So The Drive is normally like the song we like to end it on, because we have this big like rock star ending. We pose, hit, pose, and normally I just say, thank you, good night, and it's normally my microphone that we're performing with, so that one's all dented up. So I just kind of like drop in. We all just kind of just walk off, and it's not like we don't bow or nothing, because again, that's like our aesthetic, right? We match how we play, and again, people love it. Like our first show, we had the lights and stuff flashing and stuff like that with the ending, and we have video of it, and people just going crazy. So that's kind of like how we purposely end their shows, is with the strongest, fastest song, compared to like Big Loud is our biggest. Like, it is by far like tripled what the whole album combined is. But we do end it on, I would say, like the appropriate song to end on.
I like that. Is it just you that would give that drop the mic moment, or members of your band, like Angel, for instance, would she give a drop the mic moment? Like, as soon as Brett does his Shamil, then I'm going to do my drop the mic moment? Or is it like, once you do your drop the mic moment, then you kind of bow, and then everyone cheers, and then you walk away? Do you come back to an encore as well?
I mean, this next night, no, we're not gonna have an encore. Just there isn't time. But like Big Loud and The Drive is our encore set. I kind of let my guys do what they want when we get on stage. Don't flip anybody off, don't spit on nobody. The typical like, don't get yourself arrested thing. It goes without saying, but sometimes I have to remind some of them. But no, like, I've encouraged bassists, like, hey, if you have a bass you want to get rid of, let's go ahead and switch it out for like the drive, and you smash it on stage or something. Like, do something cool. If you want to have a moment, let me know so I can tell our photographers to capture it. It doesn't necessarily always have to be about me. I am the front man, so I am the narcissist, right? But like our drummer, he gets pretty into it. Our guitarist gets into it. Our bass players, everyone gets into it. So sometimes we do our own thing. First show, I smashed a vase that someone gave me. So I'm like, I smashed the vase, walked off. I'm like, man, I felt cool. But the thing is, we didn't have a cleanup crew, so I ended up cleaning it up myself. So it's like I looked really cool. Then all the fans left, and I come out the curtain with a broom, start sweeping it up. See, I'm a rock star on the surface, right? Like I don't want, I'm not trying to go to jail or nothing. So I clean up after. I'm soft.
That's true. When I was younger, I thought, well, rock band and Alice Cooper, because everyone who's considered a rock musician has to look like Kiss. They have to look like Alice Cooper. And then you see a rock band, which is just a regular person like you. And I'm not saying that people like Alice Cooper or Kiss are not regular people, but there are a lot of bands that play in makeup. And then I was into Smashing Pumpkins with Billy Corgan, and then I'm like, okay, so during one of your sessions, Jack Black heard Mr. Rock and Roll High School himself, heard Mr. who loves singing the Pokemon theme, which is very good, by the way, is at one of your performances. Do you play like you usually play, just in case, just pretending that Jack Black was a normal person? Or would you play to make, well, I'm playing before Jack Black, we got to play better, we got to play more powerful? What would your attitude be if you found that Jack Black was in the audience?
It would take every ounce of restraint not to get him up on stage. If Jack Black's at my show, then I'm doing something right. I think what I would probably do, because like I don't want to say we don't play the songs picture perfect from how we do on the album, because I feel like live performances need to be their own thing. And I mean, if you're just going up there, you're more or less reenacting a play than doing a show. But I mean, if Jack Black was set to be there, there is going to be some talk in the back, and there will be minor threats to my musicians if they dare mess up in front of the almighty Jack Black. There will be hell to pay by me, but we will go out there and we'll put on a show. I'll make sure to walk his way a couple times, try to give him a Sharpie and then walk right back by with something for him to sign, like I'm not gonna be too subtle about it. Like, hey, you're at my show. Can I get your autograph?
Yeah, School of Rock was a good movie. That was excellent.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And I love how he sings the Pokemon theme. And there's another group that actually on TikTok, they I forget the name of the band, but they were singing the theme song to Pokemon in hopes that Jack Black would see it and comment. And eventually he did a duet with them. And you see him like this. And just, so
yeah.
You remember that? You ever seen that TikTok video? That was
No, I have. I follow him on TikTok. He's a
yeah. And I wanted to get him on the podcast, and I'm like, Jack Black on my podcast. Wow. But
hey, we'll tag him. We'll make sure he gets on here.
Yes. That's a dream. Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm going to be very deep with some of these questions, and if you're open to answer them, what is the most trouble you've ever gotten into?
My childhood best friend decided to vandalize a park, and I was with him, and we ended up getting a Class C felony charge because of it. So I spent the weekend in jail. Proud moment for my parents, of course. So. But I ended up, getting, I got us out of trouble, and I ended up getting my, mine expunged, and I did the work and all that. But that's literally trouble. So that, again, that's going to be no hiding that. So it doesn't come up on a background check, but, somebody is going to leak eventually. So it better be me.
Well, the one thing is, Brett, is that you don't want to find yourself on the other side of news. You want to find yourself being, you're standing there with your number along your chest and saying,
yeah,
like a lot of other rock stars.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only rock stars that lived that life was probably Motley Crue. So, Motley Crue was definitely notorious for going to jail a lot, and I'm sure there's bands that had once or twice, but I mean I think they had their own custom cell at one point. So.
Yeah. So let me ask you about, what do you think of the music industry? How has it changed from the days of 45s back in the 80s to where now they're taking, like, this is incredible, AI. They took the first 8 seconds of Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles, and the AI finished it. But it doesn't sound anything like Eleanor Rigby, but it has sort of a different sort of melody to it. And they did the Amy Winehouse as well, where the AI created this song with Amy Winehouse's voice, which sounds like it was something written by Amy Winehouse, but it was written by an AI. Where do you think that the music industry is going?
Well, I'm gonna be quite honest. I think it's going down the hole a little bit. I feel like TikTok is hurting music just a tad bit. It's helping, but it's also hurting. People don't really have the attention spans to want to listen to whole albums anymore. It's also easier and a lot harder to get recognized as well, because again, it's the internet. Somebody doesn't have to go to your show. You don't have to be, gigging all the time to make it. You can just put out music online. But something I will say is, again, being completely independent, no labels, we have complete free will on what we want to do. But when we try to go to our local radio station and we hear that the labels have bought up all the slot time, or magazines, and like, oh, you have to be part of a label to get put in this playlist on Spotify, we've gotten that's like when people, like, we've got messages like, hey, we're gonna put you in Discover Daily, and we're like, awesome. They're like, okay, go ahead and give us the your label's conference number. I'm like, that's us. Like, that's what we try to tell them. I was like, oh, that's us. And they're like, oh, well, we don't really do pure independent. Like, there's independent labels that are out there that, let you do what you want to do, and they're just the label to back you. But, again, with music that it is today, a lot of people will just buy a song instead of, signing the artist. So that's something that, I feel like is damaging to the music industry itself, because, again, you try to do things on your own. There's only so much you can actually do on your own, and you got to hope to get noticed, and you got to hope that, you make the right connections the right way and not the wrong way. So, and again, also songs today are super short. Like, a lot of bands put out 2.5 minute songs, and then you listen to these albums like what's it called? Youngblood just put out a new album, which was a rock album, which I really enjoyed. But there's a lot of songs that were a minute 45. And I'm like, this was just filler, And, I feel like we're kind of getting away from, okay, this is a song, and it's like, okay, which part do we want to TikTok? And that's something that, as it is a great app, it's gotten a lot of musicians notice, or musicians that have been at it for years, like Ghost. They're now getting really popular, and I'm actually a huge fan of theirs. But as a smaller artist, it becomes a lot more troubling in different ways. And like, you can do live shows all you want, but then it's like you're not outsourcing outside of where you're playing. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Internet has helped music in more ways, and it's also hurt in more ways. So again, you say one wrong thing, you're also canceled as well. Or if someone thinks badly of you, you're canceled as well. And that kind of like, when you write music, you're supposed to write freely. If you don't make it inclusive, or, you don't say the right line, or someone misinterprets a line that is nowhere close to what they're saying, you can be deemed racist, homophobic, and things like that, which there's been a lot of artists who've actually now have spoken up and stand up for themselves. Like, hey, how can I be this when I am an ally, or like things like that. So, I feel like, again, it's a toss up on how you feel. I feel like, if things keep going a certain way, then I feel like albums might die. And to me, like, I enjoy sitting down listening to a whole record beginning to end. But with TikTok and attention spans, it's kind of like, okay, what's the best 2.5 minute song we have, instead of listening to a 5-6 minutes, like Big Loud. That's my first single. It's 5 minutes long, so it's like kind of hard to, I guess, like, you have to be involved. You have to have an attention span to listen to that track. And I'm not saying like our fan base listens to the whole album beginning to end always, but growing bigger, and with TikTok now killing like the bridges and pop songs now. So I hope things get better. I can't say, again, it's a double-edged sword on how things could go.
Yeah, I think actually music was better in the 60s and 70s because it was just full bands,
Yes.
full musicians, full lyrics, and now we got this electronic stuff. I really hate electronica.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to listen to Barry Manilow. I'm still a big, well, now it's BG, but BGs back then. Supertramp. I don't know. Do you think someone like Supertramp, or do you think that the Beatles came out just like today? Do you think they would be successful?
Well, okay, if I were to the Beatles, I would say if they were to come out, they would break up a little bit sooner than what they did. I feel like they would all have multiple album solo careers each. Like more so than what they did, they wouldn't be as many Beatles albums, because that's kind of the thing. Like bands kind of get a jump start and then they break up and they have better solo careers, and some don't. But I feel like the Beatles, were perfect for their time. But like bands like Nirvana, man, I'm gonna have so much for on this. I don't think they would be as big today, because again they were so anti. I guess like they were so anti against the music industry itself. Like they hated certain tropes. They wouldn't be posting themselves online, and like that's another thing too. It's like everything you do online is almost, it has to be a commercial if you want to make it in this industry now. And because you gotta think, you can be signed to a label and you never met the guy who's trying to sign you, just because you had a good song that's released. So, but then it was more or less they had to travel, they had to hear through the grapevine, and it was a lot harder. But that meant we had a lot more quality music breakthrough. And I mean, there's a reason why classic rock is classic rock still. Like that hasn't changed, and the songs that get added to classic rock on those stations, it's rare. It's rare a new song gets on there, at least down here, So again, like those bands, you had to be one of the top best of all time to even break through onto the scene. So that's my personal opinion, is you had to be good back then. Like, but again, like Beatles are the Beatles, Nirvana's Nirvana. They're going to be good no matter what. But as far as today's age, they probably break up sooner. Cell phones. There's a lack of human intimacy with the internet. So there's a number of factors in that.
Why do you suppose bands like Oasis or like even the 70s bands, some of the lead singers just get regular jobs like programmers and stuff, but they used to be in this big 80s band. Why do you suppose that bands like Rolling Stones survive all this time, but other bands break off? What do you think is the reason for that?
Well, I feel like sorry, I skipped away from Mike. I think the biggest reason why bands break up is, I mean, you're around each other all the time. Families fight, and but also family doesn't leave type thing. So like Oasis, they're actual brothers. They're around each other all the time. I think it kind of comes into a lot of bands back then, when they wrote something, there was credits on the track. People were paid different if it was on the A side or B side, and if it's multiple LPs and who's on the D side, they're going to get paid the least, So that was a big factor on like it was pay differences mostly. Because then it's like with Oasis, one brother wrote all the big hits that are always played, and the other one wrote the rest of the album, which, again, Oasis has great albums entirely, but as far as the ones that are mainstream, one brother wrote more than the other. So that's why, that kind of came into like them butting heads, and it's like, well, I wrote more on the A side, you wrote more on the B side, I get more money. So I feel like, like bands now, I would say like the 1975, Laney, even MCR, they came back together. It's all about having a mutual thing. If like the album isn't good, don't put it out. And like Panic, Brendan's the only one left. He can do what he wants. Who's there for Brendan to argue with? So Panic will always be its own thing.
Yeah. Boy, what was I thinking? Can you read minds? Can you tell me?
I don't see it in my notes here.
Okay. So, what is your favorite song to perform?
My favorite song to perform live is either I Wish I Could Go On Without You or By Your Side. That's off the album. Those are my two personal favorite songs. They have the most emotional meaning to me. And the crowd engagement that I get is mostly like happy. Like, people will be in the front row smiling, but tears coming down their face. And to know that my songs have hit that emotion. And again, for me, if I do blow up and become this ultra big megastar or not, no matter what, I will always have that intimate emotion from somebody when they listen to that song. And to me, that outlasts my lifespan. I mean, I guess it's like a sense of immortality, knowing that somebody listened to it and they will continue to listen to it and feel it. But when we're playing live, because again, I feel like there's so many flaws that are purposely added into live performances. And when we play like By Your Side, we play it a couple beats down. You know, we don't play it to the same BPM that we recorded it at. We play it slow. We draw it out. We add emphasis on certain lyrics for the live performance, and we kind of keep up with the crowd on certain things. And those are like my two favorite to personally play.
Would you be ready to go on maybe America's Got Talent if Simon Cowell called you up and said, "Hello, Brett, it's Simon Cowell"?
That's a pretty good impression. Yeah, I would. I feel like, I mean, I would probably have to sit there for a couple days, waiting to get us anywhere. We're gonna have all of our equipment with us. But yeah, no, I feel like, I'll take my shot at it. I think I can get to at least, it goes the auditions, the Vegas, and it goes like the live New York one, right? I think we can get to New York. I don't know if we'll get the votes, but I think we can get to New York. Winning the whole thing, that's a shot. There's a lot of great people, a lot of people with different stories. I don't know, but I think I can get to New York round.
Wow, I like that answer. So who would you like to open up for?
A lot of bands. Anybody that'll give me opportunity firstly. If you're watching this, we're available. I think My Chemical Romance would be an awesome band to open up for, considering we have, I guess, a similar aura in our vibe. I'd love to, there's Panic. Youngblood is also really great for up and coming talent. He promotes the hell out of people. There's so many, but then I'm blanking now. I'm like, all of them just race to the front. They're just cramming through. Panic would be an awesome one to do as well, because I feel like, the audience size to perform in front of. I feel like when you're opening, you've got to be a good contrast to your act. So with this stage, I'll probably have to say, definitely Mike. I know I said that one, but that's probably the one. Youngblood said that one. It's like I kind of want to look at my Spotify, like who do I listen to the most, and then I'm like, because you daydream of this as like a musician, like if these people were to call you up, like who would you want to open for? I know they're not at their prime anymore as far as like popularity. The Goo Goo Dolls, I feel like they'd be awesome just to meet and hang out with, and I'm a huge Goo Goo Doll
I
fan.
haven't heard that name in a while.
You should check out their latest album. It was actually really good, and there's no age to his voice at all. So
I thought they broke up a long time ago.
They got back together. They put out a couple albums since reforming. So their leading single was "Going Crazy," and that one was really good. So if you need a recommendation, I would check that one out for sure. I think Smashing Pumpkins would be awesome to open up for as well. I've been for some reason I get in these waves of where I won't listen to them for maybe like a year, and then all of a sudden I just deep dive and that's all I listen to. Like they're in my workout playlist right now, so they're definitely my pump and iron. But yeah, there's just so many. There's just so many. I can't aim all of them. Anybody that wants us to travel with them too, if you're watching this, Jack Black, pull the strings for us, please.
Yeah, it would be nice if actually Jack Black got a hold of some of my podcasts. That'd be excellent. Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons. We'd like you to open up for us. Do you have a few songs that you can maybe play for us so that we can determine which ones, stuff like that? I mean, I guess that would, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would love Imagine Dragons. Again, they're, I guess, like, you can say they're probably the most popular band at the moment. Every time they put out a song, it's number one, like everywhere. So, God, what's another one I would want to open up for? I'm looking through my kind of side. The Killers would be an awesome one.
Yes, Killers, exactly.
Fall Out Boy, even though they're not as popular as they used to be, they still bring a large crowd no matter what. Let me see.
U2?
U2, yeah, U2 would be a good one to. Again, I feel like, I definitely feel like styles would mesh pretty well. Yeah, again, it's just there's just so many awesome artists. I don't discriminate on who wants to give us a chance. So, but no, I definitely want to. I would want to compliment that band style per se.
Oh yeah, so, I'm pretty sure you would be able to do that at some point in your life. So what's next for you?
Well, currently we're working on the next music video, which is going to be for The Drive. That's our like punk rock song. And then, besides the song that's releasing November 11th, we have a couple shows planned that are coming up very soon. We have, again, the plan is 5 EPs for 2023. If we nail it, we do. If it's only a couple, it's only a couple. I would say right now, because we've been pumping out demos and tracks and things like that, trying to figure out like what's next for music that people per se. And so there's gonna be a lot of things that are not gonna make the cut that we might not release until many, many years later, where if we're done, because again, music for sad people will come to an end one day. I'm not gonna retire, then come out of retirement. Like, I'm gonna, like, when I lay this perfect picture to rest, it will be laid to rest. But demos that I didn't put out or I didn't see fit type thing. But we currently have the next EP is called I'm Done with the Ghost That Stopped Me From Being Happy. And that one's pretty much just about, again, more personal tales about, my past, who I am, who I've become, who I've grown to be. And again, like, I'm only 22. I have the whole rest of my life to evolve and change into who I want to become. And, it's all about taking the lumps and the bruises and, learning life lessons. So, that's what's coming up next. And hopefully, we continue to entertain and bring new people aboard and become, we call our fan base the Sad Babies, and I hope they become part of our Sad Babies. So,
yeah, I see you becoming very successful in the next couple of years, 3 years.
Thank you.
That you might exactly find Jack Black or even Britney Spears calling you and say, "Hey, Brett, I want to do like a," or, for instance, like, I'm going to tell you the truth. Elton John and Britney Spears doing that that song. It's like they redid it, or like, I don't know. There's some people that don't belong together, like duets. Like,
yeah. I mean, Elton John's voice, especially, it's matured a lot. He's had, he lived during the craziest partying eras of music, so his voice is going to be a little bit far gone. And I think Britney Spears her voice can come across as whiny a little bit, a little screechy at times. Again, I'm not. She's more successful than I am, so she did something right. But as far as now, especially when you don't take care of yourself, and so again, I would say besides them, like Elton John's album, like when he did a song with Charlie Puth, I wasn't a big fan of when Elton came on to sing. I'm a fan of when Elton plays the instrumentation and he has a different singer come aboard, just because like his voice has now become so raw power that I feel like you have someone singing very clean and smooth and you have him singing so raw and powerful, it doesn't mesh well like it used to when he was doing those duets in his prime. I'm not saying he doesn't sound good. It's just, you got to compliment each other. I feel like too many artists don't do that anymore.
No, but I was trying to think that the Bing Crosby and David Bowie Christmas song, Little Drummer Boy, which became a hit,
Hmm.
That's what I mean. That some duets don't sound good. Like,
Yeah.
what made you think that putting Britney Spears and Elton John to sing "Hold Me Closer," Tiny Dancer, and just to create like a Britney Spears style to it, if they can accept anything, like, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. I mean, it's money at the end of the day. When they see these two people come together, people are going to click on it. Whether it's a good reaction or bad reaction, people are still going to click on it, and it's still going to get attention. So,
yep, exactly. I like that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Brett, for joining us today on the stage. I really appreciate it.
go ahead.
Good. Are you like how far in advance are you scheduled for your performances?
I have a couple shows booked for next year already. They're kind
Oh,
of like they're like in the maybe zone. It's like if we are touring to that extent where we're traveling, though we already have spots. Like, okay, this is the day we would be able to play there. But like we have, and I think we have one or two podcasts scheduled in March already.
mm,
So hopefully, we have the content that's supposed to be out by then. If not, then we're just coming on and just doing recaps. But again, it's really when you're like scheduling yourself, you're going off the schedule of people who are reaching out. Because again, I am independent, so I do reach out to people like, hey, like I don't know if you'd be interested. This is what we've done. That's kind of the approach. I really, I haven't had people come and find me because there's a huge, huge ocean of musicians and talented individuals. But some of them, kind of flood the For You pages or the YouTube or your music. So you got to be kind of a go-getter. So it's more or less me reaching out to people and trying to see, hey, am I interesting enough to have on your show? That's kind of the thing.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. And
You're
if you ever
welcome.
need, so yeah, if you ever need another guest, just let me know. I
Yeah.
have plenty of I don't plan on stopping making music. You don't plan on stop podcasting. So
No. Send them up because I intend to reach 100, 150, 200 episode. Oh yeah, that's our podcast out there. 650 episodes already.
yeah,
Um,
that's that's an on-running series. That's most in TV. So
and let us know when that new single comes out, and we'll link it in the description once we post this. So let me end this